My name is Peter Berryman. I'm currently 64 years old, and I live here in Fortitude Valley, Brisbane, Australia. Very fortunate to be here. I've lived here for 18 years now. Before that, I lived in Sydney for 22 years. I held multiple international passports, so I lived in Australia the majority of my life, but I wasn't born here. But I'm very grateful for what Australia's done for me. It's given me the opportunity to have an amazing education, which I paid for, and including graduating from 5 universities and 6 different colleges. So my post-nominals after my name add up to about 54 letters. And my father said, well, we're not going to get a real job instead of being a perpetual student. So if you added up the full-time equivalent, that's about 14 years at university of tertiary education study. So I love learning, obviously, and I love sharing what I've learnt with my clients, my patients, and my students, and my colleagues, my profession. And that's why I've really liked joining Melissa and Jean in particular as the leading 3 of us for the RMDY Academy of Homeopathy. So I've been practicing as a homeopath since I graduated in 1985. I've been involved in education since 1990. I've worked in numerous natural medicine education institutions here and overseas. I've had senior positions in different departments, the Department of Bioscience, in homeopathic departments. So I've not only taught homeopathy, I've also taught biosciences, lovely subjects like anatomy and physiology, chemistry and biochemistry, clinical examination, all those lovely things as well. So I'm proficient in, I guess, at least 2 disciplines, the discipline of homeopathy and the discipline of health science or medical science. So I kind of feel comfortable holding my own in the medical community. I can communicate well with doctors and nurses and pharmacists and folk in allied health as well as in the natural medicine sector. I've also had the fortune to be a clinical supervisor since 1985 as well. So clinical supervision is where all of your training as a student comes together. So helping and facilitating students in homeopathy has probably been the best part of being an educator, because in clinical training you get the opportunity to bring together everything and anything that's relevant. So whether that's obviously health sciences, the homeopathy, plus counselling, anything and everything else that might pop up. So it's a wonderful area to work in as well. So it goes back to the ripe old age of 14 years, and I was at high school, and there was someone I cared a lot about who got very sick. And all of the health healing resources that were available at that time could not help her. And I thought, I'd like to be that person who could help those who aren't easily helped. So the doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, chiropractors, no one could help her with her condition. She had a year off school, and I decided I wanted to be better than everyone else at being the best physician I could possibly be. And I didn't quite know what that was. I thought that meant being a doctor first, but I didn't want to be a general practitioner, a GP, a conventional Western doctor. I wanted to be better than that, but I didn't know what that was. So at 16, I went to university and started my first degree. Every holidays, university holidays, I worked hard, doing all sorts of rather laborious things, but made enough money to pay my way through all of my education, self-funded. So I've never had a scholarship. I don't come from a wealthy family. I have busted my guts to pay to get to where I am for my education. Years of education and clinical training and continuing professional education, all of that I have earned and paid for myself. So I feel as though I've earned my stripes to get to where I am now. yes, it's a privileged position, but I've done it the hard way to get here. So I was working for a rental car company cleaning cars one summer and listening to a lot of car radios, and I heard this advertising for the New South Wales College of Natural Therapies and a program called Naturopathy. Now, in 1980, I couldn't even pronounce that word properly. I'd never heard of that word before. And although the definition is dubious, I thought maybe this is it. So I went to their open day in St. Leonard's at the time, and I met with their registrar, and I interviewed with a bunch of people and met some friends, and I thought, maybe this is what I'm looking for. So I committed myself to this program. I enrolled. I started 2 weeks late, and I thought, I found what I'm looking for. This is how to practice medicine better than anything else I've ever seen, anywhere in the world. So I did a 4-year program. I graduated, and I thought, okay, so we had both a naturopathic student clinic and a homeopathic student clinic, and I would go to both. All the students would go to both. And that was in the era when naturopathy had 4 major modalities and about a dozen minor modalities. So we did herbal medicine, nutrition, a whole variety of massages, and homeopathy. So I would do my very best in naturopathic clinic with my clients there. I would do my very best in homeopathic clinic with my clients there. And at the end of my training, I could look back and see my own outcomes. And in my own humble opinion, I got the best outcomes in homeopathic clinic. So I'm very grateful to having that naturopathic training because it exposed me to all of those modalities. I became qualified in all of them, but I made a significant life decision to master one of them. And that's all I've ever done ever since. Now, just in case I made a mistake, I took a year off. I traveled around the world, went to 17 different countries, and everywhere I went, I checked out how do they practice medicine in the Philippines or in Nepal or in Tibet or wherever I went to see if it was better than anything I had recently learned. And I had my homeopathic yardsticks, the direction of cure, as a measure of do they do it better than what I can do as a natural medicine practitioner, as a homeopath, to the point where I was to conclude this is the best I found in the world. There's nothing better. I am now content to devote myself to mastering this one modality, the pick of the bunch, in my opinion. So since graduating in 1985, practicing since 1986, I've been in practice, private practice, ever since. I still have clients now. I've been seeing clients earlier today, and I've learned a lot from my private practice. I've learned a lot from my clients, above and beyond what I ever learned in a classroom way back in the mid-1980s, and all my other training ever since as well. Oh, here's the funny twist. That person who inspired me at 14 through her malaise, I was doing some postgraduate training overseas for another college, and who should be sitting in the back of that class was her. And she said, "Peter, what are you doing up the front?" And I said, I won't mention her name for privacy, but I said, "What are you doing at the back?" And so she said, "Oh, tell me how you got here." And I said, "It's because of you I'm standing here today." And she was training to be a homeopath. So she graduated from her training, and she's married with 4 children and a husband, working in a hospital somewhere. So interesting that she was my muse, if you like, my inspiration, and she's now part of my professional community. So maybe I didn't mention the word love, because what motivated me at 14 was the love of another person. So that's buoyed me on to loving all my clients and my students and my colleagues, to motivate me to extend myself to do what I've done and achieve what I've achieved. It's all for love. My life goal, if you like, is to have been the best physician I could possibly be. And if that's my story of how I got to be here, I do feel that using the tools as a homeopath has enabled me to achieve my life goal. I believe I am the best physician I can possibly be. There's almost nothing I can't do apart from emergency medicine. surgery that I can do as a homeopath. So everything from infertile couples, pregnancy care, birthing. My sister's a midwife, so I've had a bit to do with home birthing procedures, pediatrics, adolescents, adults, gerontology, senior folk, palliative care, end-of-life care, even death. I've worked in all of those areas, so it sounds strange, but I'm a specialist generalist because I kind of do anything and everything. I don't have a particular niche, like Melissa has a niche with fertility, because I turn my hand to most anything. But if you want to call it my niche is being difficult, complex, chronic patients for whom most other modalities have failed. And I guess that's my credibility. My street cred is that I get good outcomes, even with difficult folk. So my success rate is very high. And that's as a consequence of both the tool that I use and my mastery of it, my application to it, my devotion to it, my love of it, my dedication to it, amongst all the other tools and tricks I've got in my box of tricks. The better I do my homeopathy, the better I get at it, and the better outcomes I get for my clients. And I'm able to advance homeopathy and bring on innovations and novel ideas to extend homeopathy as well, which is what I bring to my students and my colleagues as well.